Sam, 23 years old, and I'm a professional pole dancer.
So when did Sam start showing promise? I mean, maybe he did his first triathlon when he was a toddler, but when did he actually start being good and being able to compete at the upper level?
Well, see, he's always been good from a very, very young age. No, he has. He's never been the best. And that's one of the things that's been a real sort of importance. I mean, he's always sort of finished second, third, fourth, sort of locally within that, then gone to sort of national championships and sort of finished further down the actual field. He really, from a young age, he's always sort of been there or thereabouts, but never been actually at the top. So he's never been complacent about sort of, I'm the best athlete there. He's always known that there's other people, and he still always thinks that way. There is lots of people out there that are better, fitter, stronger, but it's how you actually perform on the race that actually creates the win or brings you into sort of a good top finish. Yeah, I think we've always, well, I certainly feel like we've always known that I've had great endurance, and that was kind of a natural, like endurance and strength has always just been like hereditary, and just like even physiologically, both my parents are quite strong. But what I was missing was just kind of the top end speed, I guess. And so I guess I naturally, when I was a kid, I got kind of taken into short course world, and like it kind of made me realise that, and I worked on that from quite an early age. Yeah, in hindsight, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. I certainly gained a lot of racing experience. But I think I could have maybe had a bit more confidence in myself if I maybe hadn't gone through that process. Because like now in my head, there's a million guys that can like run a faster 5K or swim faster 750 meters. So
was there like a conscious decision ever to say, "Hey, Sam's ready to be a pro," or or we know Sam will be a pro someday? I mean, based on his performance now, was that a conscious decision?
That's been there from a young age. I mean, Sam was there when he was in short course. I mean, he did his first professional race when he was 14 and a half. Yeah, racing for Poissy. And it's like sort of, he was actually racked next to Vincent Louis. We had dinner the evening before with Richard Murray, things like that. So really from a young age, we knew that sort of the process was there. It was just going to take time for him to develop as a youngster. And he's still got a long time to sort of build up to his full capacity as a 23-year-old. Yeah, so it's just this whole process. No, so from a young age, realistically, I think when Poissy showed interest in Sam, then it obviously became sort of evident that he could actually do really well in the actual sport itself. Also, I think my heart was never really in the short course stuff. That's why when I did switch when I was like 18, 19 to the longer stuff, I mean, I didn't want to go to an Ironman as an age group because I felt it was unfair simply because I'd be racing against guys who have got a job and I'm just training basically. I'd moved back home and I was just training. So I went into the pro field. My first race was Ironman Barcelona.
Right.
So I was 20-year-old and I did I think I came 7th in AO4 or something. Yep. So like people think I've just like burst onto the scene, but already like two plus years ago I was already doing Ironmans and I would say competitive level, and it's been quite a slow progression. I think just quite a stable progression. It's just that the pandemic kind of didn't really. It meant that we, like for a year, all the youngsters that didn't really have a name for themselves kind of just worked hard, and then it kind of appeared. So I did I think the first race, it was one of the first PTO supported races, was in Girona, an Ironman there. And so Cam Worth was there and a lot of the best Spanish guys were there because it was the national champs. And it was just a really hot day. And me and Cam Worth put quite a lot of time into everybody on the bike. And he started walking, everybody else started walking, and I tried not to walk. And that was that race one. So then I kind of jumped from 240th on the world ranking to 40th, I think. And then since then, I've kind of been working my way up. I think I got up to 11th, and then now I'm back down to 19th. But I guess it's always the way it's always going to go. As long as you make more steps forward than you do backwards, then it's kind of fine.
Yeah, well, you're definitely doing that right now. Maybe talk me through a little bit about St. George and your early lead out in the swim at that point, or you were really far ahead. How was the race overall, and were you happy with the result?
So I'll start with how I felt leading into it. I was in quite a unique situation, and so I'd just come off of Ironman Texas, where I had just the worst day of my life. I just felt so bad, and I DNF'd there, and so I was obviously lacking a lot of confidence leading into that race, and I just basically had no expectations, and that's, I think, what was the biggest positive. Well, in a sense, was the biggest positive for me for that kind of race, is that once I started the race, everything was a positive. It was like, oh, well, actually, I'm in the front group on the swim, and oh, actually, I'm with the best guys on the bike, and it was a lot of positive thinking during the whole race. And I think up until at 30k of the run, I was still third. So to do that on your first Ironman World Champs is pretty special, and that's always how I'd wanted to race it. I'd always said, even since I've been a kid, I was like, if I go to Kona, I'd rather try and win and blow up than like just assure kind of, I don't know, top 10 or top 15, because I feel like you need to know what it's all about. I think you need to learn what you need to do to win, and having spent 85% of the race at the front, I feel that kind of happened. So that was obviously I was super happy, but I think my post straight after the race was something like half of me is ecstatic and half of me knows I can do so much better. I just come off of like a broken foot, and I just didn't have the run mileage, and after the race, I woke up in the medical tent, and the first thing I said to my dad was, I never want to do a race that unprepared again. I felt so underprepared for the run there, and so I certainly feel in a better place now for Dallas and Kona, but we'll see. You never know with the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, Richard, how did you feel watching that? I mean, it must have been pretty exhilarating for you.
Yeah, it was a huge roller coaster of emotion going through it. Obviously, that you can see sort of Sam coming out of the water in the lead, just in front of Daniel Backenjar, and then sort of running through transition. And obviously, I was running around, trying to find places to actually see where he was at and everything else. And so it was good. I mean, when he set off on the actual. He was leading sort of the swim, the bike. They actually all went wrong. The first group of 7 of them were sent the wrong way.
Yeah, we lost not a lot, but we lost maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah,
the coverage got cut at that point.
Yeah, it got cut. Luckily, I was there at that point, and I was shouting and screaming and telling them to cross over the actual road to get to the other side so they could actually take it.
Oh,
so
man.
There was a whole. So I mean, from sort of sitting at 300 plus watts down to 0 to get back up to 300 odd watts, it was quite a lot of effort, and obviously that sort of takes and things like that. But it was good for me. So obviously my motion was high, then it hits low again. Then I'm really happy that on the rest of the bike, he was either at the front, he was in the front, or he was in the first 3 or 4 people there, and actually staying strong and relaxed, looking relaxed. And then you find sort of having sort of Blumenfeld and Cam Worth and everything else not taking any time out of the front group. That meant that he was sort of, okay, he's there for a good run. Then coming off onto the actual run itself, it was a long slog out, and I know Sam's good at sort of strong at running uphill, but he's also very, very good at running downhill. And so he was like sort of, okay, he's let them go, he's let sort of people move away, and sort of he was holding his pace, he was holding his time, and sort of on the downhills was catching the others slowly back up. I mean, I didn't know that on the bike that Sam lost sort of 250 grams of carbohydrate energy off the actual bike itself. And so obviously if I'd known that, I would have known that he's going to bite him back somewhere along the line. So realistically, Sam knew, I think, that the wheels would fall off, but obviously he was going to go as far as he possibly can until those wheels fall off and keep pushing. And say up at 30k, he was still in 3rd place. Yeah, if those wheels had fallen off another sort of 7k down the way, then he would have probably been in a podium position. It was exciting. But as soon as those wheels fall off, then obviously my heart, everything sort of sank. And it's like sort of, okay, how far is he going to be? How are the others going to actually catch him? But he hung on brilliantly for that.
I love it. I love the story. And Sam, I love your attitude about push it as far as you can and figure out where that point is, right? And you'll probably learn a lot more about yourself than just saying, hey, I'm going to pace myself to the end. Right. So
I like that idea of having a strategy, and it's probably is the best, but
every time stuck to it.
Every time I have a pin on my back, I just struggle to not be at the front, and actually having said that, in St. George, I was like I had basically I had one order, which was like to not do anything stupid on the bike. And I remember going up the last climb, and I was just like, right, if Rich, I really wanted to just make my move and go away. And I feel maybe it could have cracked a few guys mentally, and there was a few guys in my pack who ended up beating me, which probably wouldn't have done, I don't feel. And yeah, but that's how you live and learn. It's a very fine line between, I think, like up until half Ironman, you can afford to race aggressively and win, but in Ironman, it's such a balance between racing aggressively and just doing your own thing.
Right. So speaking of full Ironman, how are you feeling for Kona? It's what, a month away?
Yeah, I think today 30 days, I think. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really overthought it, mainly because I find it's probably, I don't feel I can prepare for it without being there. I'm just going to take it as another race. If there's one thing I learned from both St. George and Edmonton, is that actually when there's a big race on the line, lots of people invest a huge amount into it and maybe like go out of their comfort zone or change something they do in training and end up for whatever reason maybe not having the day they want. And I've noticed if you go there and have a very average performance, I'm talking average in like terms of physiologically for us, if you just do something very average, or let's say good, not great, just good, actually you come away with a good result. So I just want to go there and be able to do what I'm capable of, and if I can do that, then there's no reason why it shouldn't get me a top 8. Yeah, so I don't want to stick a place on it necessarily, but I don't want to overthink the race. It's just another Ironman, and all the best guys will be there, and we'll see where I'm at, I guess.
Also for Sam, this is his first year at Kona, and it's a unique place to race. Everybody talks about how unique and what sort of racing that is, and obviously for us, it's there again for another learning experience. We've got to learn from everything. As a youngster, Sam is, it's sort of, we've got a long time to actually develop him as an actual person. So it's just sort of ticking one box and going, okay, no, that works, this works, that works, no, that didn't work, we need to change that, and then hopefully it will all come together.
Yep. Amazing. And yeah, I mean, you're not exactly old, so you got some time ahead, and this is a learning experience. So, but let's see. I'll be rooting for you.
Cheers, appreciate it.
And actually, when in St. George, when I saw you, I was like, "Who's this guy? Who's this guy here? Who's this guy coming out of the swim so fast?" And then I was watching you on the bike, and I was thinking, "Damn, I gotta Google this guy a little bit." And I was just like, it was just such even for me, I didn't know you, but it was like a kind of an amazing experience seeing someone so new and so young just come out of the
Yeah, it was pretty special for me. I mean, it's funny because I've been like picturing moments like that since forever, and I seem to have this ability of, like, when I do dream about something a lot, it tends to happen. And I remember particularly one moment where I think it was about 30 or 40k on the bike, and I was leading the pack, and like, I don't know, we came over this pass, and there was just an amazing view, and I thought, wow, like this is really what it means to be on top of the world, right at that instant. That's how I felt, and I think more than anything else, like, it's moments like that I'll remember probably when I'm, I don't know, 70.
Right. Well, you'll have more of them, I'm sure.
Hopefully,
Hope so.